How we develop and the plans that we take to develop the sport that we love depends on a number of things. Players play, they run, they catch, they tackle, they move. But sports has become so far more technical and scientific than in the good old days. And in many ways, we find ourselves at a disadvantage because rugby, as we know, is a sport where kids start playing from very young days. And by the time they are 10, 11, 12, the skill set is normal. How you enter in for a tackle, how you offload the ball, all the tenets of the game to ensure a certain skill set, safety, etc., are ensconced in how we're brought up. The crucial issue as well is that as you're growing abroad, especially abroad, is there's a lot of cross sports training. So when I was young, you'd play football, you'd play rugby, you'd play hockey, you would swim, you'd do athletics. The girls would do netball, lacrosse. There's a range of different sports which test your hand-eye coordination, involves building core strength in different areas, etc. Whereas here we don't. People play football or one or two others. So you'll see that the balance of where we come from is not necessarily the best. Given what we're trying to do and understanding sports and sports medicine, the sports nutrition, and the philosophy of sports, that's something that I have deep knowledge and I try to learn all the time. Understanding also that the game has moved on. We've embarked, after winning the Bronze Cup, of understanding our weaknesses and not our strengths. Technically, we understand that we can't go into other competitions losing out on set plays. Luckily, with Pan-African, we've got the scrummaging machine, and we'll be getting more scrummaging machines for the different coaches to learn and apply themselves. So by the time we go to the next tournament, winning a scrum down just becomes automatic and becomes key. Colin Osborne was here, extraordinary gentleman, head skills coach at Harlequins, an old friend of mine with great ability to tutor, to mentor, and to put us through what is required. And his time with Coach Abraham and Coach Dallas was invaluable in the time he spent with the players. And we've put a program together now for those who want to learn as to how we're going to improve our skill set between now and next year when we play in the Silver Cup. But I've always complained, for those of you who know, that the core strength of Ghanaian players is simply not strong good enough, whether because there was no cross and transport when they were younger, and also we have a different mentality in terms of what is required. Oh, he can play or he can't play. But the fact is the core strength of Ghanaian players is not good enough. Even I, as an old man, nearly 60, has a core strength stronger than probably anybody in Ghana rugby, and that's not right. That simply is not right. Which is why I brought down Stuart. Stuart Amar is a consummate professional who understands what it's about. And he's put a variety of players through their paces, those who decided to show up. And we've had players from all clubs there, from Accra Rugby, from Hurricanes, from, all the major ones, including Conquerors, etc. And they've been put through their paces to see their weaknesses and their strengths. And the core weaknesses, running aside, are as poor. But he has brought in all kinds of new methodology to strengthen areas that will ensure that common areas of injury, as well as areas where you do need that high impact strength over and over and over and over again, is strengthened for those who decided to attend and those who will apply what was brought through. I can't thank Stuart enough for what it is that he brought through. And what I enjoyed was I went down to watch them at the stadium on one day and to see over 40 people, the girls especially, plus the new additions. And I need to thank Mr. Minter for his contribution and his assistance and what's happening, as well as all of those who attended every single day. It was great to see players, several of whom missed out on the Bronze Cup for one reason or another, showing strength and turning up on time regularly. And there were a number of things that we learned. I mean, if you look at the power and the explosiveness of a number of players that we didn't expect, extraordinary. If we looked at the consistency of speed and application of others, we didn't expect. And then if we looked at the natural ability of 2 or 3 players who he believed are good enough to go straight to Europe right now, I found that massively, massively encouraging indeed. We now have to make sure that this program, that those who applied themselves to and came to, will now become part and parcel of a training regime that we take through to the next 12 months and beyond. We've understood with the presence of Colin, who had time to go through and look at the training measures that we are applying in Ghana Rugby and are being executed by Dallas Abraham when Ludwig was down here to offer criticism, but overall to state his huge pleasure at the structure of which it is we're applying ourselves. And this is from one of the best coaches in Europe. And then to identify the same weaknesses that I've identified over time: poor skill set, and then poor strength and core strength application to the game, which is what it is that we brought in all the bands, the rollers, and all the different things to work. And we have to thank the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee for allowing us to use the Ghana weights room to show application to where we are going to go. So we're now trying to build a rugby player, in my view, which we haven't really got in Ghana, which in the next 6 to 12 months we'll get them with core strength levels that can apply themselves, that explosiveness, that understanding of how to take the pain, how to be able to apply yourself with a physicality time and time and time again to different phases of play without tiring, and to have a real presence on the park. And that's got to come not because you've got a six-pack or you think you're muscled, but you must be able to do things and have that strength of area that only comes with applications to modern types of training. I'll be monitoring it over the period so that I can report back, as Dallas can, back to Colin and back to Stuart. Right now, we've got Colin and Stuart working on programs along with Dallas, which says over the next 4 months, this is how we're going to apply ourselves. Over the next year, this is how we're going to apply ourselves. And we're going to be using that to improve and change and be subtle as we try to establish a Ghana way of competing at international levels, so that even when we're not meant to win, we keep winning. When we're not meant to be competitive, we continue and are even more competitive than anybody would appreciate or would expect. Thank you once again to those who turned up. Thank you to those who realized that it made a big difference to their lives. And thank you for all of those, especially those who came in to help Stuart, Colin, in terms of what we did and what we're going to try and do going forward. All I know is that the dream that I have for Ghana Rugby is that we start playing a structured kind of rugby, because right now we don't. I look at all the clubs. There is no real structure. People are running, throwing the ball around. Some people think they're good. Some people think whatever they want to think. Purely as a rugby person, I haven't really been seeing it. It's the last 18 months that I'm seeing 1 or 2 clubs or 1.5 clubs playing structured rugby in a way that makes sense if somebody understands rugby, sees the way that it's meant to be going. Now we need to be up it, not to be happy with where we're at, because I'm not. How can we now take ourselves up 3, 4 different levels to make us sure that we are competitive at the next stage, so that come turn of the year, we need to ratchet it up again to be able to compete at the Silver Cup level, not to disgrace ourselves, and actually to do pretty well indeed. There's a lot of talent I see out there. Importantly, enthusiasm. Importantly, a willing to learn. And over the last 6, 8 months, I'm finally beginning to see humility, which is the essence of rugby, amongst some sectors of Ghana Rugby. Of course, there's some who think they know more than they know. Unfortunately, they know nothing, so that's as much as they think they know. For the rest, I say welcome on board. And I'm looking forward to the next 12 months with enthusiasm, with hope, and I'm able to dream a little bit about people, positions, opportunities. Now, backups to exactly the same. After all, our job here is not about the domestic league. It's about what Ghana does. And I think when it is that club owners and regional presidents are able to start raising their own funding and take pressure off the board, then we'll be able to focus purely on what we have to do. And that is that formula that makes Ghana win, makes Ghana competitive, and allows us to grow.